He literally went from Nigeria to Liberia. Did you just turn him right around?
Exactly, because President Johnson Sirleaf was terrified that he would touch down in Nigeria, and because there was some talk about him staying the night in Nigeria. And of course, he had his own in Liberia, and of course, he had his own supporters, and one never quite knew what was going to happen. So there was quite a large UN presence, armed presence, on the airfield, and I was talking to Liberia all the time when I realised that the plane flying him from Nigeria was on its way to Liberia, and I was in constant contact with the commanders on the ground. Then, of course, we hit a real difficulty, because under the UN rules, he had to be handed over to. We'd sent a plane from Freetown carrying special court personnel to arrest him. He was being flown from Nigeria to Liberia. Now, they had to have a full medical examination before they handed him over. One of the things they had to do was to do heart tests and all sorts of things. And I thought the time was running out because the weather was closing in. It was about 6 o'clock at night, and the weather was really getting very difficult. And I realised that it's going to be very tricky, this. So I rang up the American ambassador in Freetown and said, I understand you've got one of these heart machines. He said, yes. And I said, I want to borrow it. So I got through to Liberia and said, no, he's not going to have his medical there. He's going to have it in Freetown here. And I've got the kit. So I was able to avoid that difficulty because every sort of difficulty has been put in my way. So I said, turn that plane round, he comes straight into Freetown, and he'll have his medical here, indeed. You know, the American ambassador is very good. He made that, whatever kit it is you use, to carry out these tests. And so there it was. So it was rather lucky. It was rather lucky that it happened in that way, because the UN representative, the personal representative of the Secretary General at the UN, who was a great personal friend of mine called Alan Doss, it just so happened on that day he wasn't there, and he was in some other part of the world. So I had to deal with people. I could have dealt with Alan with no problem, but he just wasn't there, so I had to deal with his number two, whom I didn't really know. But anyway, we pulled it round, and Charles Taylor was content, so it was, that was.
Well, tell me what you were feeling when he comes off the plane, and now you're eyeballing a guy who was nothing but a name on a paper for...
Yes, and he came off the plane with his... came off the plane with handcuffs, and I just made sure he was in his cell and his rights were read to him, and then I left. But he was dishevelled and the rest of it, as one would expect. And under the law, I had to bring him before the court as soon as reasonably possible, so that he could face the court in Sierra Leone. And those of you who've seen photographs of Charles Taylor outside custody, or indeed in court, would realise he's a man who always dressed impeccably. And I had a message from him that could I please give him 3 days to have some clothes sent from London and Paris, because if he was going to make an appearance in court, he intended to make to cut a dash. So, being the sort of chap I am, I said, of course I will. So gave him 3 days' grace so he could appear in court properly attired, properly booted and spurred. So there we are. So those are the little sort of side stories to this. Yes.
So then, just to complete the story, he then appears in Freetown, appears in court, and then ultimately he is sent for trial to the Hague.
Yes, because Johnson Sirleaf, Ellen, had made it quite clear to me she wasn't going to have him tried in Freetown. And then I had to approach the UN. And to get them to pass a resolution for the trial to take place in The Hague. The Dutch weren't prepared to take him, of course, until I got that resolution. So I had to go to New York and persuade, well, either Britain and America were responsible for promoting this. And so I got through with relative ease. And so it was that he came to be tried in The Hague. Well, the other problem was, of course, where, in the event of conviction, where the Dutch also said that they weren't going to try him unless I could give an assurance that in the event of conviction he wouldn't have to serve his term of imprisonment in Holland. So I then had to get, I went around various countries. Eventually, Britain agreed to take him in the event of a conviction. So all those international conditions were satisfied, and then the Dutch decided to permit him to be tried in The Hague. So I had to jump through many sort of fiery hoops, if you like, those animals at the circus. So, yes.
Just so you know, this is the guy that arrested Charles Taylor. Unbelievable story. You how long did you stay in the court after that?
Oh, I was still another 4 or 5 months, and then once he was off to The Hague, I took my leave of my friends and came back to London, because the case, that was the only case really that was going to start. And so Brenda Hollis succeeded. I was succeeded by Stephen Rapp, who's now your ambassador for war crimes. And he took over, and then Brenda Hollis will also be here this evening. She took over from Stephen Rapp and actually did the prosecution of Charles Taylor. Mm-hmm. And I went to the trial, I think, on 2 days, in the long time it took to try him. Unconscionable time, if I might add. But then that is the fault of the judges, who they didn't have a proper grip of the court.